gets stuck to the outside of the body. This will be the armor around the dragon's body. Ramming is important to make sure that thin thread of glass doesn't cool down too quickly and pop off. So we gotta make sure that any teeth, the chest, is straight, you know what I mean? The other teeth can start to draw out the curves of the dragon's body and face. all the different parts of the dragon.